Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be video number 12, and as promised, we're looking at the Beatitudes here. I was just thumbing through YouTube one day and came across a guy who was discussing the Beatitudes in a way I'd never seen before, which is the inspiration for this. I've kind of looked for the link, but like my channel, he's hard to find. He doesn't have a lot of views. He has way more than me, so congrats to the man. Not that that's what this is about, but I couldn't find it. That's where I'm getting at. So, the Beatitudes. He had actually made this connection to a Buddhist worldview, and it clicked. He's on to something. I think his final conclusions were wrong, but I do believe the very premise of his argument is correct. So again, I find most folks just kind of go over these without really spending a lot of thought on them, because the end of Matthew, especially 7, is probably got more insight that is pertinent to most folks. However, I do believe that this opening statement is probably the most important part. And adding this Eastern Buddhist worldview is probably the correct way of seeing it. And it'll be number 3. 5.3 is the deciding factor. You have two choices you can walk down when you get to that line. You can go down the Judeo-Christian view, or you can go down something that's probably more Eastern, more Buddhist. And if Jesus was a person, and it is an if, some people say that there's real clear historical evidence when there clearly isn't. I'm not trying to get into that argument. The teachings of Jesus are very profound, and they are a key part of the Meek faith, the Meek belief, and the Meek philosophy. However, they're meant to be interpreted. Jesus never came right out and said, do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you are done. He spoke in parables. There's a reason for this. The nature of this world requires anyone who wishes to speak the truth to speak in parables. We live in the divine mirror. All that aside, those of us who are trying to interpret the truth, I think we probably, it's kind of a gray area to be muddling in, to be honest with you, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. So here we have Jesus, got a crowd of folks, so he goes up on a hill, which is pretty important because he'll refer to that again. Where is it at? Number 16 or so. Starting on 14. And he begins to speak. And in line 3 is his opening statement. And this opening statement contains the conclusion. It is literally the whole entire argument he's about to make. It's like any of those people you see on YouTube or on a TV commercial saying, hey, if you do this and that, you're going to get this. Some sales pitch. And that's what line 3 is. And that is, the blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is the King James Version. This is on Bible Gateway, I believe. Yes, it is. And it's great to go here because then you can click on several versions and it'll give you kind of an idea of what people have thought this means. You can say blessed. I always say blessed because it's past tense. And the past tense is really critical in these statements. It's not blessed. So if you're poor in spirit, you will be blessed. What it really means is you already are. It's past tense. Once you have reached this state of being poor in spirit, you will have already inherited the kingdom of heaven. You see, this is an if-then statement, but it's actually written backwards. It's not if you are poor in spirit, you will receive the kingdom of heaven. It's if you have the kingdom of heaven, you already are poor in spirit. The if is the second half. So it's actually cleverly stated, and the meaning is rather well, it's right up front, but it's cleverly hidden. So it reads as if then. If you do this, then you get this. If you do this, then you get this. But it's actually backwards. It's if you are already there, you had to have done the first part first. It's very clever. But this phrase, poor in spirit, is where you must decide. Do you go down the Judeo-Christian path, which typically refers to being humble? Hopefully my air conditioner running over there isn't terribly loud. This being my first time running through this, I'm probably not going to put it out there anyway, but yeah. So the Judeo-Christian, and it usually refers to being humble and how you need to humble yourself in this world because you need God's assistance and all these other things that I clearly don't believe, and the meek never will believe. But the more Eastern view, more Buddhist view, which I do believe is correct, is that the poor in spirit doesn't mean that you are humble. It means that you have detached yourself from your emotional connection to this world, that you are well regulated in your emotions. You don't get too high, you don't get too low. It's like the word spirit, it's like alcohol is referred to as a spirit because it changes the way you react to this world. If you get in an argument with somebody, people refer to that as a spirited conversation. Or if you see a group of people, maybe going to a soccer game over somewhere and, they're all singing loudly or whatever, and they'll refer to them as a spirited group. You see, to be spirited is to be elevated into an emotional state. And I do believe what Jesus is saying here is, no, you need to detach yourself from this world. And one of the keys to this is he clearly states, this world is not where his kingdom is. So an emotional attachment to this mirrored fake world, it's critical to see it for what it is and not become attached to it. This world is infested with what I call lesser gods or angels and demons. And these entities can possess you, lust and fear and greed and envy. And learning how to control these emotions, seeing them for what they are, detaching yourself from them so that you can become, as Buddha says, that you must become empty in order to reach nirvana, meaning you have to get rid of your emotional baggage. And once you do that, then you will, as he says, reach nirvana, or as Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven will be yours. So if you make it to the kingdom of heaven, it means you've already detached yourself from your emotional connections and overreaction to events that happen in this world. It's the path to get there, and it's the reason why narrow is the path. It is difficult to detach yourself. This world will do everything in its power. If you get down to, line 10, the world's going to try and stop you from doing this. Your family will try and stop you. Politics, sports, religion, your friends, work, whatever it is. The world will scratch and claw to drag you back in. It is not an easy thing to do. Narrow is this path, and very few will find it. And it is lonely once you get on that path, my friends. But once you detach from your emotional connection and actually view the world for what it truly is, this is his opening argument. See the world for what it truly is. Experience this world. It is a beautiful creation, but this is not the kingdom of heaven. This is not the final goal. So we must learn to see it for what it truly is. And once we do that, that's how we get to heaven. It's a strong, powerful opening statement. It has nothing to do with humility, has nothing to do for asking for anything. Jesus says you walk the path. You don't ask someone to escort you down the path. This constant desire, the Judeo-Christian belief that you have to ask someone for forgiveness or mercy or Jesus never teaches these things. Jesus teaches you must take the actions yourself, always. And that's this opening statement. But what happens when you detach from this world? Well, your emotions have to be letting go of, which is the next line, line 4 here. You're going to have to mourn for the loss of this world. It's hard to let go. So part of you has to die, as Jordan Peterson would put it. As we grow up and as we learn to see things for what they really are, these are key parts of you. It's why it's so hard to do. And when they die, you're actually going to have to mourn the loss of parts of who you are and what you thought you were. As you grow into the being that you truly are, these experiences are going to be painful. This has nothing to do with the suffering in the world. Of course there's suffering in the world. This is the suffering that you will go through yourself when you go through this transformation of detaching yourself from this world so that you can enter the kingdom of heaven. And then in the next line, to become meek, the very foundation of this belief. So I'll just briefly say, becoming meek refers to the Greek war horse. It's a wild stallion that would allow one human being to ride it and can go into battle. So Jesus is saying here that after you mourn the loss of your connections to this world, you have to become strong. You must still be able to hear the one true voice of God. You must know the nature of your being. That's what it means to be detached, so you can clearly see. But the only way to do that is to become a strong, powerful being. Any weakness in your body, any weakness spiritually or mentally, the world will drag you down. You must be mentally, spiritually, and physically capable of withstanding what's going to come your way. So the only way to get through this experience is to become meek. That's the argument. Becoming a powerful force in this world that can hear and see and knows the true nature of reality. Up next is to hunger and thirst for righteousness. So once you've found your own strength, you've shed your connection to this world and mourned the loss of your attachments. Now you are capable of not only really seeing the injustices in this world, like you'll see people clamoring for things that are just insane. And we're not going to go into the politics, but everyone can think of a political situation that is just insane, and people will scream and holler on both sides that they are right. But none of them are righteous. They can't see. They are literally screaming and hollering about their attachments, clinging on to their sweet, precious, emotional states of being that they just can't let go of. But as we've gone through these first couple of steps, now we can become righteous. And because we are empty, not empty in a negative way, we are free. We have shed our baggage of this world. And we fill that with righteousness, the quest for righteousness. And righteousness must be delivered with mercy. You see, you can't be vengeful or spiteful or angry and wish to crush your enemies. You must treat your enemy with mercy because it's not your enemy. That's your fellow man. That's your brother. That is your sister. That is you. And this mercy I always like to see these two statements as the way to see people in this world is to genuinely know that they are a part of who you are. They are truly a child of God, as you see in the next line here. Well, second to next line here. So we love the sinner and hate the sin, but you can't reach that state of being until you've gone through these steps. So again, what Jesus is laying out here is an opening statement that we must shed ourselves of our connection to this world. And then here's the steps. Mourn the loss of our connection to this world, our emotional attachment. Become clear of mind and clear of spirit. Fill ourselves with the need for righteousness. Become strong mentally, spiritually, and physically, and hear the true calling of what this world truly is. Seek justice and righteousness in this world, mercifully. And then once we reach this state where you can see the enemy, the perpetrators of violence in this world, and treat them with mercy, you will be pure of heart and you will see God. You will see the truth. And of course, we then seek peace. No, I'm not quite sure what this statement about the children of God is. I do mean to do some research into that to see if it's something more, because I don't know what it means. So I'm not going to be able to help in that part here, because I do believe we are all the children of God. But perhaps that once we've reached the state of being, the world will actually see that of us. Could be. And then, of course, you will be persecuted, potentially persecuted. And that's the way it is. Haters are going to hate. People are going to cling on desperately to their attachments to this world, and they're going to try and drag you down. That's what the Beatitudes are. And this opening statement of how you must detach yourself from this world has nothing to do with humility. Of course, you have to have humility to take this step. But it's not humility before God. God knows what you are. God knows you are God. It's a silly thing to say that you must kneel yourself before yourself and ask forgiveness of yourself. It's a silly thing. But you must learn to detach from this world. Live in the present moment. Mourn the loss of your connections. Mourn the loss of the connection to this beautiful creation. It's beautiful. It's intense. But it's supposed to be like this. And we must see it for what it is. Become strong. Seek justice with mercy. Make peace in this world. And then when the haters come after you, you must ride through it, my friends, because sometimes they're going to come. And then these last two, the salt and light, I just want to touch on these real quickly. I think they pertain exactly to these Beatitudes, because then it goes into the law after this. So to be the salt of the earth means that if you follow this recipe to enter the kingdom of heaven as Jesus has laid out, you are valuable. Salt was the most valuable commodity of the time. So you are a valuable person when you have reached this state. And if you have lost your value, Jesus is very clear, you shall be tossed out and trampled underfoot. Narrow is the path, my friends. Saying it again, he says it over and over and over again. A tree will be judged by the fruit that it bears. There is judgment. And this first 8 simple lines is the path that Jesus lays out before you, cleverly hidden. And then, of course, you have to be a light on the hill. So not only do you have to follow the path, you must put yourself out there in front of everyone so the haters can come for you. You see, because we must show the way. Because this is not the destination. And once you understand this is not the destination, you will no longer have fear to stand in front of the haters and speak the truth and be that light on the hill. because you have value. You know the way. I think that's the way I'm going to leave it. Feels about right. And maybe I got it right on this first attempt. You never know. So I'm going to leave it there, my friends. And with that, my silly glasses, I'm going to see you in the next one. Until then.